Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, July 30th, 2020, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the 2020 election, not necessarily, projections from numerous news sources and political analyst groups that pretty much give us a general idea of where they believe, along with the mainstream media, this election will end up. Back in 2016, obviously, a lot of the mainstream media came out with their preliminary predictions, and obviously up until election day kept them updated and pretty much had very similar results to what we're seeing right now across all of these races, except a lot of them are way more favorable for Joe Biden than they were just 4 years ago for Hillary Clinton. So we're going to start off, we're going to work from Cook Political Report over to ABC News, and we're going to discuss the ratings in each individual swing state. So I'm not going to go through each individual column altogether. We're going to ignore the safe states. They're not too important. But it is important to note of a certain state that should be safe for the Republican Party has now been characterized as likely. So the PVI, I guess, is decided here from Decision Desk. Essentially, it's just going to give us a general idea of how the state has typically voted in the past and altogether what party composition it's leaning in favor of. So for Arizona, it has a Republican +5 PVI, and then California is Democrat +12. Looking at the overall numbers here, you can see at the bottom that almost all of them benefit Joe Biden. Almost all of them have him, not almost all of them, around half actually, have him winning the election outright. A lot of them do also try to play it safe, so they put Biden at 268 to 268, even though, oh my gosh, I forgot I set an alarm. Let me turn that off. It's 6 a.m. right now, but this probably won't be dropping until 12. But most of them have Biden ahead or very, very close. And I think it's really funny when I see 268 because they leave a number of toss-ups just because they don't want to officially project the election for Joe Biden outright. I think that was a main mistake for some of these companies back in 2016, and I think that's where they're really trying to avoid. However, this is not the 2016 election. Joe Biden seems to be doing much better than Hillary Clinton. So if we look across a lot of these states, let's talk about Arizona first. Pretty much Arizona is really interesting. I mean, it's voted for the Republican Party since 96 and has, I guess 96 was the last time it went for the Democratic Party. That was Bill Clinton in his re-election bid. But since then, has always been a Republican state. And up until now, it wasn't supposed to really be that competitive. In 2016, it came within less than 5% for the first time in, I think, since 96. So for Arizona to be competitive in 2016, that definitely was a warning sign for the GOP entering into the 2018 midterm elections. The Democrats ended up flipping the House there and ended up winning the Senate race, which was also very substantial. Kristen Sinema now serves. I think she's up. Yeah, she's up in 2024. So we actually have a competitive Senate race in Arizona. Actually, not so much competitive, lean or likely Democrat at this point in time. However, Arizona looks like it's rated Tilt D, which is a flip by both Niskanen, I don't know how to pronounce that well, and then Inside Elections, and then the rest consider it to be a toss-up. I would pretty much move it over into the lean Democratic column at this point in time, but again, I probably don't know more than The Economist, but we'll characterize it however I deem fit. I don't like leaving states as a toss-up. If I had to characterize it today, I would say it's a lean Democratic state, and it is very interesting considering that they're all considered toss-ups by all of them when this really should be a Trump state. So let's move down. Okay, let's move past Arkansas, California, Colorado. As you can see, the lowest characterization for it is lean Democrat. People are not expecting this race to be competitive. Safe Democrat from some sources. Safe, likely, all of this very good for Joe Biden. It's probably not going to be competitive. He doesn't need to throw as much money as Hillary Clinton did in this state. I think the Democrats can really relax in states such as Colorado or Virginia or even, New Mexico. Looking at Florida, this has a lean D characterization from Cook Political Report, Tilt D, and then lean D from The Economist. The rest are considered toss-ups. I think that Florida definitely should be characterized as a toss-up. If I was to make a map where I was just discussing pure toss-ups, Florida would definitely be one, but I do expect Biden to carry Florida on Election Day based off the numbers we have right now. For some reason, Biden seems to be doing so much better than Hillary Clinton at any point in time during her campaign season in Florida. Whatever reason that might be, Biden, is still ahead and is currently, I believe, up 8% statewide. So for Florida to be this far to the left in polling, it is interesting to see all of these ratings consider a toss-up, but I think a lot of people are expecting Florida to absolutely narrow up before Election Day, as am I. So in Georgia, this is another state. There are 3 lean Republican characterizations. This is a state that voted for Trump by 6% in 2016, so it should be lean Republican, but is now toss-up. If Joe Biden's able to drive up turnout amongst the black community, absolutely. It could definitely be way closer than 2016. I don't think Biden will carry Georgia, but we definitely could see a 2018 governor-type margin for Donald Trump, which is still a 2% victory. It's 16 electoral votes regardless. Doesn't matter the margin, but it does spell out some warning signs for Republicans in the future in a state that's growing very, very quickly. Let's go ahead and move past Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana. Indiana's considered likely and lean by some people, but I would say this one, I would bet it unlikely, but I don't think it's going to be competitive. When I see some states and I consider them likely, I just think that Trump will probably win it by less than 15%, but I don't think the Biden campaign should make a play for it. I don't think it'll be a swing state in the future. I just think that Trump will be underperforming his 2016 margin, which is expected. In Iowa, it actually has a Republican characterization, which I think is pretty interesting. It also joins Ohio, which the reason why I'm mentioning them together is because they voted by roughly the same margin in 2016. Both of them have either lean or even in some cases for Iowa, so just lean. I don't see tilt. Yeah, I do. So one tilt, and then for Ohio, they have tilt and then lean Republican. A lot of these news media as well consider Iowa and Ohio to vote together. They will put them in the lean Republican column, and I do agree. I do think that Donald Trump will carry Iowa along with Ohio on Election Day, but I think these are very bold projections because Iowa definitely could narrow up by the time we hit the 2020 election in November, but I think that they're also characterizing this correctly. But it's just interesting because they characterize this as a lean Republican, and then the same type of group won't characterize Florida for Biden or Arizona for Biden, which I just think is interesting. Trump isn't leading in Iowa larger than Biden is in Florida or Arizona by any means. But I guess lean R is something I agree with. However, I'm just surprised to see it characterized when there's no real data saying that Iowa is further right than Florida is left now, or Arizona is left at this point. So moving past Iowa, don't have to worry much about Kansas. I know there are some likely Republican characterizations, but really doesn't matter. Maybe less than 15%, but still going to Trump regardless. Maine at large is considered safe and likely and lean, which you have to point out that this is a state that was decided by, I believe, 3% in 2016. So for this to be considered safe and likely is pretty solid for the Democrats. But for Maine's 2nd congressional district, it's either toss-up or lean Republican, which I also agree with. So that's pretty interesting, but toss-up definitely seems to be fitting a little bit more now. I think that Biden definitely will be considerably outperforming Hillary Clinton's margins in Maine and possibly go back to where Obama was. However, it's going to take a lot to flip those Trump voters back into the Democratic column. Moving past Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, almost all of them characterize it as a flip. There's only 2 that consider it to be a toss-up. So lean, likely, and then the rest are lean. That's pretty good for Joe Biden. For them to already characterize a state as large as Michigan for Joe Biden is pretty solid, to say the least. And Joe Biden definitely will be entering in with an advantage through Election Day, which is exactly why Biden is likely winning in almost, around half of these and then leading in the rest. So Michigan goes to Biden based off this characterization. Minnesota is either lean or likely. I agree with that one. Mississippi, I would actually say it's likely, but again, they could also consider it to be safe. It's going to go to Trump regardless. Missouri is considered likely by many and safe. Montana is considered likely lean Republican. That's weird. Definitely should be likely. Nebraska doesn't matter. Nebraska's first, second. The second one is the only one that really matters. I think we're seeing a little bit some conflicting ratings. We have lean Democrat, tilt Democrat, toss-up, and then lean Republican. I think that Nebraska's second will go to Joe Biden, but I absolutely think it should be characterized as a toss-up at this point in time. Definitely could go either way. In Nevada, this is a state that joins the likes of Colorado and New Mexico. except just maybe not as far left. But Nevada definitely will be voting for Joe Biden on Election Day, and it's considered to be lean and likely by most. There's only one toss-up rating here. New Hampshire, I'm surprised New Hampshire isn't rated as likely by, even Cook Political Report as Nevada. I absolutely see Joe Biden carrying New Hampshire by roughly the same margin as Nevada. So I would actually characterize New Hampshire and Nevada as likely Democratic states. New Mexico is considered safe and likely, so the Trump campaign is spending money in New Mexico, but I really don't think that this should be. It's 5 electoral votes, and it's not going to the Republican column in 2020. Absolutely not. So North Carolina is one of the few consistent states across all of the polling firms and then the mainstream media. They all consider it to be a toss-up. Absolutely. I'm surprised that they haven't characterized it for Donald Trump at one point in time. They definitely have in the past, but I was expecting at least one to characterize North Carolina as a Republican state, but I think they're actually starting to see North Carolina being truly competitive. It went for Romney in 2012. It went for Trump in 2016, but Joe Biden definitely could give Trump a run for his money, quite literally, in this state. In this election. So in Ohio, like I said, lean and tilt Republican, not much else to see there. Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania joins Michigan. Most of these firms consider Pennsylvania to be a flipping state, either lean or likely in the characterization. So there's 3 toss-ups, but Pennsylvania I definitely think will be close, but Joe Biden will still carry Pennsylvania, I think, without a doubt, to be honest. At this point in time, we're 96 days away until the general election. It's going to be very difficult for Donald Trump to catch up in Pennsylvania. Even though he did win it 4 years ago, he's considerably underperforming in every group that could have helped him win that state again. So moving past Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, I think this is interesting that it's no longer, or it's not considered a toss-up by many. It's either lean or tilt Republican. And honestly, I could see why 2 months ago, but I can't see why now. Texas is absolutely competitive. If we're seeing Texas as lean Republican and Florida as toss-up, despite Florida being, an 8-point lead for Biden and Texas being a 1-point lead for him, yeah, Texas definitely should be shifted down into the toss-up column. Absolutely. In Virginia, it's likely and safe Democrat. There are some lean Democrat characterizations. Overall going to Joe Biden. And Wisconsin is the last swing state on here. It actually is the closest out of all of the Rust Belt states, but around, half of them consider it to be lean and likely, but the rest consider it to be a toss-up. So Wisconsin definitely shaping up to be the closest one out of the 3 Rust Belt states, but still in the end going to Vice President Biden. So in the overall numbers, it looks like, again, half of them consider Joe Biden to be the expected victor at 278, ranging all the way up to 319. And then the lowest number for Joe Biden is at 222 electoral votes. You also have to note that there are 2 that consider to be, let me go ahead and see, Sabato, Crystal Ball, and Politico that consider Joe Biden to be at 268 electoral votes. This pretty much just means that they want to play it safe and they don't want to declare a winner too early, but they're almost certainly saying Joe Biden will win the election if he's only 2 away from winning. I don't think Joe Biden will see what Al Gore saw, 20 years ago? That's crazy. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and then there should be a video that you can go ahead and watch, and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions. Please consider subscribing, joining as a member on my channel, and then check out the Instagram and Twitter, and then the Discord server. The link is also in the bottom left corner of the screen. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.